Hey, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome back to the 12 days of financial self-care. How are you guys doing tonight? How are y'all going tonight? How you doing? How you doing? How y'all doing tonight? How are y'all doing tonight? Are you guys ready for day 4 of the 12 days of financial self-care? Are you ready for your homework assignment? First of all, I'm checking homework. If you guys saw my video earlier today where I talked about your credit report being like your report card and your credit score being like your GPA, baby, I am your teacher and I'm checking homework. Did you do your homework? Did you do your homework assignment? I gave you homework last night. Did you do your homework last night? Alexa, turn the volume up. I feel like I need one more setting for Alexa. I feel like should be. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How are you guys doing tonight? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I don't know what part of the country you are in right now, but happy time of the day to you. We are talking about the 12 days of financial self-care. Today is day 4. If you have been following me all along, then you should be a little bit closer to feeling a lot less stressful. You should have a few things in place in order to avoid financial stress. You should have money boundaries. You should have a peace of mind number and ideally an account with initial deposit. You should have done that on day 2. Hey. Thank you for joining, Ava. If you've completed your homework assignment for day 3, which was yesterday, you should have scheduled your money dates for yourself at least the next 4. Thank you so much for the gifts. Appreciate it. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, friend. Thanks for dropping in on me. Ava, have you been following the 12 days of financial self-care? I feel like this is the first time I've seen you in here for the 12-day series. This is the first time you dropped in on me for this series? Nope. All right. So let me reset for those who are just joining us and don't know what I'm talking about. I am ADHD Money Coach B. I talk about mental health as it relates to your money. I help the 4 times exceptional gifted Black woman with ADHD shift from feeling financially frustrated to feeling financially unfuckwittable. If you want to feel that way, put a 1 in the comments. I'm expecting every last one of y'all to put a 1 in the comments because who does not want to feel financially unfuckwittable? Who wants to go into the new year feeling stressed? Now, I know you might be sitting here thinking like, well, I am gifted. I'm Black. I'm a woman, but I don't have ADHD. Do I belong in this community? Yes, you do. We call you budgeting besties if you are neurotypical and you don't have ADHD, but you're still like, I still want to take the stress out of my money. You're welcome here. We call you budgeting besties here. If you have ADHD, we call you budgeting baddies here. And fellas, you're welcome to stay too. I'm just saying. The community was created and cultivated for us, but all of y'all are welcome. But if I call you a bestie, or a baddie, I want y'all to know who I'm talking to. In the comments, tell me which one you are. Are you a bestie or are you a baddie? Are you a baddie? If you have ADHD, drop baddie in the comments, spelled just like my name, B-ADHD-I-E. If you are a bestie, meaning you do not have ADHD, but you still want to help with your money, it doesn't matter if you're a male, a female, white, or Black, or whatever, but you are like, I still want help with my money. I still want to take the stress out of my pocketbook. Put a bestie in the comments for me so I can see you. And I'm going to recap what we talked about the previous days. So they were in day 4 of the 12 days of financial self-care. And I've given some homework assignments out every single night so that every day you guys are leaving and you're doing actionable steps in these lives. And you are leaving here getting homework assignments so that you can be one step closer to a lot less financial stress. Is that okay with y'all? Do y'all want to recap? Do y'all want to know what people did in day 1, 2, and 3 of the 12 days of financial self-care? For those of y'all who have been wanting to be coached by me and are like, I really want to hire a financial coach, whether it's me or somebody else, but I just can't afford it. It's not in my budget. Now you need to be showing up to these lives because it's free for the next 12 days. I'm doing these lives. It ain't costing you nothing but your time. I want you to have your notebook out and I want you to be doing the assignments. I want you to be asking me questions because you have me right now. You can ask me anything. Most of the time, your questions will probably be related to the live, but you can literally ask me anything about money on these lives, okay? So jump on in and ask your questions if you have any questions. Doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo-doo. So we're going to first, I want to start with the prompts. I want to know from you guys, would you consider yourself an emotional spender? Would you consider yourself an emotional spender? Type a 1 if you would consider yourself an emotional spender, and a 2 if you feel like you're not. Answer the first question for me. Are you an emotional spender? Type a 1 if you say, I think I'm an emotional spender. Type a 2 if you're like, I don't think that I am. How would you describe yourself? I'm going to tell you why I'm asking you that question in a second, but I need you guys to just plop in the comments real quick. Are you an emotional spender? Type 1 if you're an emotional spender. Type 2 if you're not. I'm going to tell you why I'm asking that, but I just need you guys. I don't know what is going on with my other live. So I'm on live in 2 places right now. But on this one, when I put up fingers, I get balloons that go off like crazy. And I don't know what I'm doing exactly to make balloons go off, but I like it. I feel like it's a celebration over here. If you are joining me from Facebook, same thing. If you are an emotional spender, put a 1 in the comments. If you feel like you're not an emotional spender, put a 2 in the comments. And I'm going to tell you why I am asking you this question in just a second, but I need you guys to put your answers in the comment. Are you an emotional spender? Hey, Tanya. Hey. Hey, Buttercup. Hey, Coach Monique. I see you in here. How you doing? Thanks for joining. Answer the prompt for me. Are you an emotional spender? Type a 1 in the comments if you are an emotional spender. Put a 2 in the comments if you think you're not an emotional spender. Hi. Type a 1 in the comments if you're an emotional spender and a 2 if you think you're not. A 1. Okay, I see some 1s coming in. A 1. I see some 1s over here too. Are you an emotional spender? A 1 in the comments if you think, yes, I'm an emotional spender. 2, I am not. I'm going to give you about 30 more seconds to give me your answer. Are you an emotional spender? 1 or 2? 1, yes, I am. 2, no, I'm not. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Hey. I love that. I love when people say that. Hey, girl. How you doing? All right. Everybody put in the answers? There is actually, normally I don't ask you right or wrong answers to these questions, but there is a right answer and there's a wrong answer. Okay. The answer is yes, you are. Every last one of you are emotional spenders. Okay. Every last one of you are emotional spenders. Listen to me. Every last one of you. I know you think you're not. You're like, I'm not. I'm in control. Every last one of you are emotional spenders. Everything we do, every action we take is because we want to feel something or not feel something. Okay. And I want you to understand this because I want you to understand that your emotions are involved. I talk about mental health as it relates to your money. Why? Because what we think affects how we feel, and how we feel affects what we do. So if we feel bored, we will get on social media and we will scroll mindlessly, right? And then we will accidentally scroll past the TikTok live and we'll be like, you know what? I think I need that, right? And it will end up in our cart. Why? Because we were feeling bored. If we are feeling overwhelmed, we may shut down and not pay a bill. We are emotional people. Our emotions are always involved. The point of today's activity is not to have you numb yourself of your emotions. It's more for you to be aware of your emotions. About 85% or 95%, I got to really look up exactly what that stat is, but let's just go with the lower end of it. 85% of our behaviors are subconscious. We do not realize what we're thinking and we're feeling most of the time because our brain is on autopilot. It's just on default running. So you're not consciously self-sabotaging. You're just your body just kind of, your brain just kind of knows what you would normally, how you would normally respond. It's like, oh my gosh, this happens. You should think this, therefore you should feel this, therefore you should do that. And most of the time we're going through life and we're not even noticing how we're feeling, which means we're not noticing how we're spending our money because we're the activity is happening almost on autopilot for us. We have a life situation happen, we feel a way, and then we take an action with our money. So the point of today's activity is for you to have more self-awareness, to slow you down. I'm going to give you some practical skills that you can use to help you figure out if this is something you actually wanted to do with your money. Okay. It's not always about spending either. Okay. It's not always about spending. Is that okay with y'all? Because I don't know about you guys, but I have had Amazon deliver regret directly to my door. Y'all ever like buy something and then by the time you get it, like you don't even want it anymore? You're not really sure even what's in the box. Like you don't even remember the purchase. It's just me. It's just me who gets it. Sometimes I get a box in the mail and then I don't even open the box. Like something I bought that was so important that I get right now, and then I get the box and I don't even open it for a couple of days. That's how unimportant it was to me. Cherie said yes. Oh my God. Okay, so it's not just me. Y'all be honest in these comments, okay? Because I'm out here being transparent. Okay, so I'm not lying to y'all. Don't lie to me. I'm not going to judge you. Okay. And for the ADHD girlies in here, we are naturally impulsive. I need you guys to understand this. I need you guys to accept some things about ourselves because we can't put systems in place to support ourselves if one, we are not aware, and two, we are not accepting. Okay. So there are 3 steps of self-love: self-awareness, self-acceptance, and then self-advocacy. What does that look like? Self-awareness means you're aware that a problem exists, or you're aware of a limitation of your skill set. You're aware of your strengths and your weaknesses. So you got to know what's happening. You got to be aware of what your thoughts are, aware of what your feelings are, or you can't do anything about them. So your first step is you need to be aware. Okay. The second step is you need to not be in denial. You have to accept it, and not accept it like I'm defeated. Accept it without judgment and say, this is just where I am right now. It may not be where you are forever. For some things it might be, right? I have ADHD. That's not going anywhere. The obstacles will be there, right? I've accepted it. I'm not judging myself. It is what it is. And so I put things into place. Now I can't put things into place, which is self-advocacy, unless I've accepted myself. I'm gonna give you a perfect example of this. I'm 5'1". Any short ladies in this thread right here? Any tiny tots in the comments? I'm 5'1", y'all. I'm aware I'm 5'1". Okay. I could be in denial that I'm short, but I'm not. I've accepted it without judgment. Okay. I've accepted it. Because I've accepted it, I have self-advocated for myself. And what that looks like is me having stools in places where I need them. Okay. I got a stool in my closet, got a stool in my kitchen, I got a stool in my laundry room. I got a stool everywhere because I'm 5'1". And why am I going to make my life harder for me than it has to be? Okay. Because I'm not above climbing on a countertop if I have to. But if I don't have to do that, I won't. So I have a stool. Some of you guys need stools in your finances, but you won't put them into place because you either are not aware of the issue or you haven't accepted it. You're in denial and you're telling yourself that you got to do things like everybody else. Everybody else manages their money this way. And so I should be able to do this. I'm too smart. I'm too something, right? You're attaching your intelligence, which has nothing to do with intelligence. You're attaching your willpower to it, right? I should be more determined. right? I'm not determined to impulsively spend, but I also know I have ADHD, right? And I'm prone to impulsivity, meaning I will respond to something physically before my brain has even had a chance to realize what I'm doing. I'm going to have that as an obstacle. So what do I do to protect myself from impulsivity? I've put systems into place to allow me to be more mindful or to protect myself from that option. So here's an example. I use cash budgeting for my day-to-day spending. Now, cash might seem like an antiquated currency, right? Because you're going into crypto now and it feels like cash is going out of style, but cash been going away for a long time. But cash is something that works for me. Why? Because I can feel the pain of paying. Okay. How many of y'all have ever gone to a grocery store with cash, intending to use your cash, or any store for that matter, intending to use your cash to pay for something, right? You had the money to pay for it, you had the cash in your wallet, and then you get to the register, and rather than pay with your cash, you chose to use your card. Put a 5 in the comments if you've ever done that before. How many of you guys have ever gone to the store with the intention of using cash? $20, whatever. Okay, I got a 5 coming in, 5 over here too. I feel like I'm at an auctioneer house. Right? 5, 5, 5. Okay, so you go to the store with the cash in your wallet, intending to use cash, and yet you got to the register and then you still took out your card. The reason why you do that is because money is real to you. There is an emotional attachment to cash that we just don't have to plastic. So when we spend the cash, it feels like the money is gone. You feel the pain of paying. You're present with the emotion of spending. And so you're like, just in case it's a rainy day, just in case I'm going to keep this because we like to have money in our wallet, just in case, right? I'm going to use my card instead. It's like this. It's like you just don't want to give it away. It's the same $100, but it feels different when we swipe our card than when we pay with cash. So the first thing is I like using cash because it makes me feel what I'm buying. You said that makes sense. Okay, good. It makes you feel what I'm buying. Why is that important? If you're numb to your transactions, you will mindlessly buy things, right? It don't mean nothing to you. You know how your kids will spend your money because it's not their money. It don't mean nothing to them. They ain't have to work all week long to make that money. So they like whatever, and it breaks, and they're like whatever, and they lose it, and they're like whatever. It don't mean nothing to them because they don't have no emotional attachment to your dollars, right? That's what using plastic is like for us. We don't have any emotional attachment to it. When we're using cash, we feel the money. We see the money depleting from our wallet. Let me see. When I go into my wallet and I'm pulling money out, I'm looking and I'm like, you know what? You start calculating how much you're going to have left over after the transaction in real time. You're like, you know what? I'm going to put, I didn't even need to supersize. I said I was on a diet anyway. I don't even know why I was biggie sizing it. I don't even know why. Go ahead and let's just give me the medium. I'm gonna just do the medium, right? Why? Because you can see what you'll have left over after you make this transaction. Most of the time when we use our plastic, we're swiping. We may do mental math in our head, but we're not really seeing that number in our bank account go from whatever it was to whatever it's going to be. So we don't watch the dollar amount drop. We don't log into our account probably later until we got home to see what is our new balance now that we've made this transaction. So we don't feel the pain of paying. So we're not capable of being mindful in that moment and going, do I really need this and want this? Like, why am I buying it right now? Like, why do I feel like I got to have it right now? Okay. So I want you guys to start thinking about how you feel and what's on your mind when you're finding yourself about to make a purchase. You said that makes sense. Okay, good. I want you to start thinking about how you're feeling when you're making a purchase. Something that I ask my clients before every session, and it's something that's on my daily, Strong Start, Strong Finish journal. Every morning and every evening, I have you do an exercise where you're asking yourself, how do I feel mentally? How do I feel emotionally? How do I feel physically? How do I feel financially? The point of it is for you to pause just long enough to notice how you're feeling. Just to notice. Because we will get up, especially women. We're so used to being everything to everybody and denying our humanity, denying the fact that we have feelings, that we have needs, that we just don't have a rhythm of checking in on ourselves. We just go through the whole day without noticing that we don't feel well. Things are starting to look a little bit crazy and you feel like something's off, but you're not really sure what. And you also don't have the luxury of slowing down to figure it out. So I want you guys to develop a habit of asking yourself every morning, write this down. How am I feeling mentally? How am I feeling emotionally? How am I feeling physically? Because even physical pain can compromise your decision making, right? If you're uncomfortable and somebody's asking you, like, can you buy? And you just want somebody to get out your face, you're like, okay, get whatever, right? Because you're uncomfortable and you're not making the best decision because of how you feel physically. So your physical well-being matters. If you're sick, right? If you have low energy, that's going to affect what you do. If you have low energy, you're going to be like, I'm just going to choose this of convenience because I don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like thinking about it. And that might be true. You might need to do that, but you need to be aware of yourself. Okay. So I want to give you a toolkit of things that you can do to be more mindful. So the first method that I want you guys to do when you're trying to slow yourself down to figure out how you're feeling and if you really want a purchase is I want you to use the screenshot method. Now, those of us who are impulsive, us ADHDers, a lot of times the reason why we buy something right now is because one of the other issues that we have is we're forgetful. We don't forget things that are tied to our emotional memory. Like we can remember the lint on your socks from 20 years ago if you hurt our feelings while doing it, right? But we will forget what we're saying while we're saying it. We will forget what we came in the kitchen for 20 different times, right? We will forget to pay a bill that we knew to pay the bill and we intended to, but then somebody called us and we forgot. Like our working memory is shot. And so we're like, oh my gosh, I see this thing that I really want and I'm afraid I'll forget it. And so we just check out. We buy it. We feel like we got to have it right now. We're afraid that we'll forget the sale, right? We'll miss the opportunity. We don't trust ourselves to remember. And so we're like, I'm just going to go ahead and buy it. So here's some things that I do to help combat that impulsiveness that I need to buy now because I'm afraid I'm going to forget. The screenshot method, what you're going to do is you're going to see something you want and I want you to screenshot. And then I want you to put it in the album that says, maybe buy it. Maybe. So organize your screenshots into something later. The alternative to this is putting it in your cart, but not checking out. Just put it in your cart. Okay. And then I want you to set a weekly time to review your screenshots or review your cart. And the reason why I want you to do this weekly is because it's giving you time to process. You ever look back at your cart and be like, why is this even in here? Like, I don't know what I was thinking, like what hobby I thought I was going to take up when I saw it. And I convinced myself that I was really going to use this tool, but like now I'm not even interested. I want you to set a weekly time to review your screenshots or a monthly time to review your cart. Because half the time you're going to realize like, I didn't even want this. Okay. So that's one way for you to pause and delay purchasing to give yourself space, but it also helps you save what it is you wanted so you don't have this fear of forgetting. Okay. The next thing I want you to try is to set a 2-minute timer. Now, I would actually pair this with another technique of like physical mindfulness. If you're feeling anxious, overwhelmed, angry, like any emotion, I want you to do like a grounding exercise. Okay. I want you to put your feet on the ground and y'all can do this right now with me. Put your feet on the ground. I want you to take 3 deep breaths. Okay, 3 deep breaths. Why are we doing this? We're doing this because it calms your nervous system down. Okay. When you're anxious, you don't make good financial decisions. Your body is designed to shut down your prefrontal cortex, your critical thinking part of your brain, so that you have just enough energy. It wants to reserve your energy to respond to what they perceive as danger. So when you're anxious, when you're angry, when you're hurt, your brain is like, oh gosh, she's in danger. And your sympathetic nervous system is activated. And it's like, let's protect her from danger. And so far, your body has probably been protecting you from danger by saying, let's go shopping. That always makes you feel better, right? It currently thinks that makes you feel better. And so it's like, yes, let's do it, right? Let's mindlessly do some activity because we know it will temporarily make us feel better. And we need to train our brain to have new ways to feel better, new ways that don't involve you swiping your card. Your brain, again, I told you, it wants to run on autopilot. So it's going to work on efficiency. It's like, we know this already. So it's going to take time for you to get your brain to default to this new set of things you do whenever you feel this emotion. So I want you to first have mindfulness. Like when you're feeling an emotion, I want you to notice the emotion you're having. What is it? What is your brain telling you should do right now? Because I want you to be able to recognize your triggers. When you're upset, what types of things are you tempted to spend your money on? What types of things are you tempted to just do that affect your money? It may not be spending, like it may be just shutting down. When you're depressed, how do you typically respond to that emotion? I want you to notice when I feel this feeling, these are the types of things I tend to do. I call up my friend. She goes, girl, let's talk about it over brunch. We go to brunch. I feel really good, but now I've spent more than I wanted to spend eating out. And that felt good in that moment. But then later, when I look at my bank account, I have all of this buyer's remorse. And now I'm in the cycle of shame because I was already in a bad financial situation and I just made it worse. I need to notice that my habit of kikiing with my friend when I don't feel good might not be the best solution because that particular friend likes to go to brunch. And maybe I need to express myself to my friend who likes to work out and wants to go to the gym instead. But you won't know how to self-advocate for yourself if you're not even aware, okay? The next technique, so this is technique number 3, I want you to do a voice note review. So when you see something that you want, I want you to create a voice note and I want you to record yourself explaining why you want something. Now, I don't know if you were here from like my live like a couple of weeks ago when I talked about the power of asking yourself why 3 times, because your surface level why usually isn't the reason. It's not getting to the core of the emotion you're trying to resolve. Your surface level why is like, I want this because it's pretty, or because it smells good, or because I feel pretty in it, or whatever, right? And then you go, well, why is that important to me? Well, because I feel like if I smell better, it just makes me feel better about myself and I show up differently in the workplace, or I engage with people differently when I feel like I look good or I feel something. Like you're trying to understand the logic that your brain went on to decide that this was important to you, right? So then you're like, okay, so what I really want is to be able to engage with people confidently. I want to show up more. So what you're trying to figure out is, I'm looking to have more confidence. I'm looking for ways that I can show up more. Once you have that clarity that that's what you're actually seeking, you get to ask yourself, is there another way? Are there more ways I could resolve this? And you may discover that there are a lot of different options and not all of them cost you anything. Maybe the confidence is having a friend with you. Like if I go to a networking event and I have someone with me who I can banter with, I'm much more comfortable in a networking event. But if I don't have that friend, I might need to feel like I need a new wardrobe to feel confident, to feel pretty, or to feel something so I can have the courage to walk up to a stranger and strike up a conversation in a way that I don't necessarily need when I have my friend. But if I don't do that work to understand what problem is it that I think this new outfit is solving, I won't discover that the real need that I'm trying to resolve is I want to feel confident at this event. I want to feel comfortable talking to strangers at this event. And when I realize that that's what I actually want, I get to ask myself, how many other ways, what other things would make me feel confident, will make me feel comfortable? And it doesn't necessarily require me to spend money, but we oftentimes are in such a rush. We're not willing to really try to understand what we're trying to resolve when we buy stuff. Every time we spend money, we're solving a problem. What is the problem you're trying to solve? What is the emotion you're trying to resolve? You live in the neighborhood you live in because you want to feel safe. You live in the neighborhood you live in because you want to feel like your child is getting the best education, right? Like there are reasons why you pay for stuff. You buy stuff for a reason. But we often don't give ourselves enough time to even think it through. So I want you to do a voice note recording why you want something. And then 24 hours later, I want you to go back and listen to it. I want you to go back and listen to it and ask yourself, do I still want it? And then I want you to do something. I want you to go a step further. For those of you guys who do vision boards every year, I do my vision bank faithfully. Hey, Tam. For those of you guys who do vision boards every year, I want you to go to extra level and look at your vision board and ask yourself, I want this, but do I want this more than I want what's on my vision board? Like, is it worth derailing my vision for this year? Sometimes it is. Sometimes you're like, I absolutely need this. It's important. I didn't consider it in the beginning of the year. But other times you're going to look at it and be like, nah, it's not really worth the setback. Like, I want it, but not that much. But because we haven't looked at our vision in so long, we've forgotten. And again, ADHDers, out of sight, out of mind. It's not intentional. We're not willfully neglecting our goals, our vision for our life. We are literally just struggling to remember. So you need to look at your vision every day when you're trying to make a purchase. One of the things I have on my, I wish I could show you my phone, but I'm on my phone, is I have my vision board as my screensaver, or what do you call it? It's not a screensaver when your phone is on, right? It's a screensaver when it's dark mode. Whatever, it's the wallpaper. That's what it is. The wallpaper for my phone is my vision board. Why do I have that? Because I got to look at that every time I want to use Apple Pay. I want to look at that when I'm doing lots of activities. When I want to pick up my phone and go on social media and scroll, when I want to stay on the phone, I'm looking at my phone. That vision helps bring you back to the present day of what it is you said that you wanted. So keep your vision in front of you as well. Your homework assignment for tonight. You probably got some stuff in your cart right now. You probably got some stuff in your cart right now. Don't you? You got some stuff that you're thinking about buying? I want you to look at everything that you put in that cart, and I want you to ask yourself why you want it. And I want you to add, you say, yep. And I want you to ask yourself 3 times why you want it. Why is this important? When you say why you want it, and the point is not to judge yourself, guys. I think this is really important. This is never for you to judge yourself. It's for you to understand yourself. So when I want you to look at it and go, why do I want this? Okay. I want this because, tell me something that you want right now. Sharice, what's in your cart? Tell me something you got in your cart right now. Tell me something you have in your cart. You scared to tell me? Don't be scared. Tell me one thing you got in your cart. You don't got to give me your whole cart, but tell me one thing, and I ain't gonna judge you. I don't care what it is. My clients got weed on their budget. I'm not lying. I don't judge them. I tell them to just budget for good. Listen, I don't care what you put on it. Let's just make a plan for it. What's something you got in your cart? Because I want to explore this with you. Give me one thing you're thinking about buying. And it may not be for you. It may be something you have in your cart for somebody else. And this is actually really helpful when you are making purchases for someone else, because it also helps you be more intentional with what you're buying others. You said meal prep containers. Oh, I love this one. I love this one. So let's do this together. You got meal prep containers in your cart. Tell me why you have them in your cart. And remember, I'm not asking you as a judgment. I really want to understand. Like, what was your thought process when you was like, yep, I need this. I'm gonna put this in my cart. Why did you choose those containers? And if you want, I can pull you on, I can pull you up here and you can just talk so you don't have to do too much typing. Let me know and I will just do a hot seat with you real quick. I want a meal prep. Okay. So you want a meal prep. So that's the first why. So then we're going to go a little deeper. Why do you want to meal prep? Why is that important to you? Now, you see, this question is important. So for you guys who are listening, her why for meal prepping could be completely different than somebody else's. I'm going to give you some other alternatives, but I want to hear her reason why, because I don't want to lead her into an answer. But there are a couple reasons I can think of that somebody might want to meal prep, but I don't know what her why is. And her why is what's important. Saves me time. Oh, I love this. Okay. So I'm going to give a couple other reasons that I was thinking of for the audience so they can understand why it's important for you to really not just assume you understand why someone wants something or why you want something. So I would have thought you could have said, I want to meal prep because I want to lose weight, or I want to meal prep because I want to start eating to save money so I can start eating more, not eating out at work as much, right? I want to meal prep so I can save time is another good reason. So there's lots of reasons that you could be meal prepping. So, but I want to save time is not deep enough. I want to understand, why do you want to save time? So why is that important to you? So go a little deeper for me. Why do you want to save time? And you guys who are listening along, I want you guys to do this same exercise for yourself. Do this, think about something you have in the cart. And while I'm going through this with Sharice as an example, I want you to go and do this exercise for yourself. I want you to ask yourself no less than 3 times, right? If you need to go deeper than 3, keep going. If you feel like you're still not at the core of something, keep going. But at least 3 times, I want you to ask yourself why. Now, while I wait for Sharice to tell me why saving time is important to her, because I want to understand the context for her. Again, saving time, she could want to save time for a lot of reasons. I work a lot. She works 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whew. 7 days a week. Okay. And so every minute is precious to you, I can imagine. What has not having this time meant for you? And you have a 16-year-old. What is not having this time that you believe that the containers are going to give you meant for you? Like, what has it taken from you? Whether it's emotionally, mentally, financially, what is not having the time? What's been the cost of not having that time? Means I end up spending more money. Woo. Okay. And I'm guessing, and you tell me if I'm wrong, spending more money because you end up choosing convenience because you don't have time and you're like, I'm just going to go to the store and just buy a quick meal. Door dashing like nobody's been. See, right there. I knew it. Okay. So when we get down to the core of it, you have 2 desires. You want to save money. You're tired of spending money that you don't want to spend here, right? You may have the money to be able to spend, but you're like, I don't like that I'm spending all this money on this area. I'd rather use it for something different. And so instead of purchasing my time this way, I want to purchase my time another way. Both scenarios are purchasing your time. One of them is giving you results that will last for a meal, which is the eating out. The other one is going to give you results that are going to last you longer because you have these containers. But here's the thing, you want to save time. And most of the time, these marketing campaigns, they're designed to make you feel like the product inherently will resolve the issue. So we buy something and then it doesn't work, and then we throw it in the closet and it just piles up and we feel like we wasted our money, and we're still eating out because we haven't figured out a system that would allow us to use it. Like, will we really use these meal prep containers? Because if containers were all that was keeping you from meal prepping, something tells me that you would have been meal prepping a long time ago. So the mindfulness part of this activity is, it's not saying, no, I'm not going to buy it, right? It's saying, if I'm going to invest in this, because the whole point is I want to resolve time, I have got to figure out a way to make meal prepping, the activity of meal prepping, sustainable for me. What does that look like? Or I need to accept that I'm never going to spend the time cooking and dicing up this food and putting in these containers. And maybe I need a different meal prep solution. Maybe it looks like hiring a personal chef to meal prep your meals for you. Maybe it looks like something different, right? It may not look like you not spending your money, but it may look like you spending your money on a solution that actually works for you. It may look like you spending your money on something and giving yourself space to revisit and say, is this actually solving my core problem? Because if it's not, I need to return it, because the core problem was I wanted my time back. How does this resolve the time issue? So tell me, Sharice, and if I'm saying your name wrong, I'm sorry. Sharcy? I feel like I'm saying it so wrong. I'm sitting here thinking, like, how else could I say it? Sharcy? I'm not sure. But tell me right now, if you got these containers right now, you have a 12-hour workday. What would you have to do differently to make these containers work for you? What would have to be different? Because the food is not going to magically prep itself. You said true, Sharice. So I think Sharice is my name. I still feel like I'm saying it wrong. Sharice like Charlene, but I'm gonna have to have you spell it out. At some point, I'm gonna get you on a panel so you can just say it. But what do you said? True. What would have to change for you to use these containers? Imagine these containers came today. Are you going to be able to go to work tomorrow and have saved time? Is it going to resolve your problem all in itself? Do you guys see how slowing down just to kind of like think through the whole problem is helpful? Because she may discover, like, maybe I don't need to buy this. Maybe the first thing that will help me save time and money first is thinking about, am I cooking the kind of meals that would stretch so I don't have to cook every day? So like, maybe the real solution is, if I want to save time. So to your point, I'm like you, like, I'm busy. Like, people call me and be like, are you doing anything right now? And I'm like, are you busy? When am I not? Like, I'm always busy. So saving time was super important to me, especially when I was working in corporate America and doing my business. So I started thinking I had to be more intentional with the type of meals I was cooking, especially on days where I worked really long days at my corporate job, because I knew I was going to have so much time. I still got a parent and spend quality time with my kid, apparently, right? So I can't spend all day tending to an ornate meal. I'm a foodie, so I like to do bougie things sometimes, but I can't make bougie meals all the time because my time is precious to me and I don't want to spend it all in the kitchen. So I started looking for meals that stretch and meals that didn't require me to sit in front of it all the time. So if the whole point, you said that's why it's still in a cart, because that's not a solution. Good. Love it. Okay. So the point was I wanted to save time. I needed to be able to multitask and have meals prepped because I couldn't eat out. Didn't want to spend a lot of money eating out. What could I do to resolve that issue? I needed to be intentional about my menu selection. That was the first thing that I changed, was what type of things I was cooking. So something that I would do is, and it started from the grocery trip. Like, okay, I know that what are the pain points with me wanting to cook? I had to think through what are the pain points. Well, first of all, if the meat is not defrosted, pain point, right? Then I have to season the meat, right? Pain point. Every time I have to handle the meat, I'm annoyed, okay? So I started thinking, like, what could I do to take the friction out of this activity if I genuinely want to start cooking more meals and doing it in a way that was sustainable? So I would go to the meat market, right? And I would buy my meat in bulk. And I started, I used to freeze it like how it came whole, but then I'd have to defrost it all and then decide if I'm gonna cook it all. And I didn't always want to cook all of it. So I started breaking my meat into smaller sections that could be individually ziplocked. So I can decide if I'm cooking just one piece of chicken because I'm doing some sort of shredded something versus, maybe I need 3 pieces depending on what I'm making. And I added another step and I started seasoning them while they were already defrosted. Because typically when you buy meat, they're not frozen. So I would get it home and I would season my meat while it was still soft. And then I would freeze it in a Ziploc bag. And then I noticed that my stove had a timer on it. Now, not the type of timer that tells you how long it's been cooking. I noticed that my stove had a delayed cook timer. This was mind blowing to me. I was like, I could do what? I could put something in the oven and tell my timer to turn on at 3 p.m. So I would take my frozen meat out of the freezer that's been seasoned. I seasoned it a week ago, and I would put it in a pan that went in the oven. And I would just sit it in the oven. Now, mind you, it's frozen solid. So all day long, it's defrosting. It's defrosting, right? And then at 3 o'clock, it's been sitting out in the oven for however many hours defrosting. At 3 o'clock, it should be probably fully thawed. And now my oven is turning on and it's starting to cook. So now when I get home at 5:30, I probably had a different timing. All right, let's just go with the scenario, y'all. I come home at 5:30. Most of the time, I forgot I even did this. So I feel like I come home to a chef, a personal chef. The house smell good. I'm like, I did that. I love you, girl. I come home and dinner is made for me now. Now it's like I got a boo. It's like I'm my own wife. Right? So the issue for me wouldn't have been containers. It was like I needed a system that I could do. I was going to go grocery shopping. That was already a given, right? I was going to get the meat. If I chose meat that wasn't frozen, I could season it and seal it in advance in a way that made it a lot easier. Now, when I take it out, I don't have to go back, figure out what I want to season it with, right? I've taken a lot of friction out of the steps of meal prep. So I had to think about what kinds of food I could do that with. Not everything you can do this with. So I had to think about what types of meals I could do that with, what types of meat I could do that with, right? Because I'm not doing that with fish. Okay. Then I started thinking, okay, if I'm a cook, one thing about me is if I'm a cook, I'm probably going to cook enough to freeze half of it. Like if I'm gonna cook chili, I'm gonna cook like I got a family of 5, even though I got a family of 2, and I'm gonna freeze the other half and stick it in the freezer for a lazy day so that the next time I can just take it out. Notice I haven't made you spend $1 yet, but we're resolving your issue of wanting to meal prep and wanting your time back. It requires being intentional It might require a day of really taking the time to go through and think about your plans, but none of it was a container. Now, I ain't saying a container isn't motivating and it's not nice. You said, sounds great. Good. That's a good idea. Okay, good. I'm glad that these examples are hitting for y'all. So I really want you to do this exercise because it allows you to go, does this actually solve my problem? It may make solving the problem a more pleasant experience. Like, I love a pretty pen because a pretty pen just inspires me. It makes me want to pick it up and write with it. And use my journal. But the whole point is I want to journal because it helps me get my emotions out. It helps me process my feelings. It helps put me in a place of gratitude. And I need to be aware that the whole point is I want to change my mindset and my emotions. I want to have more control of how I'm feeling in the morning and in the evening. And that's why I created the journal. But if I just tell myself that the pen itself is going to be the solution, it's not. The pen might initially make me want to get out of bed, but once the high of something new wears off, y'all ADHDers, y'all know, you get excited about something new for a little while, the dopamine rush runs off, and now suddenly you've abandoned another hobby, you've abandoned another gadget, right? Once that wears off, you're not going to be doing it. So you have to think like strategically, what is going to make me do this beyond this new gadget that I've told myself will solve the problem? Because let me tell you something, ADHDers, a trademark, a hallmark for us is we think we are one gadget away from solving a problem. If I just buy one more thing, the problem will be solved. It doesn't matter what we're talking about, y'all. It doesn't matter what it is. I promise you, you think a gadget will solve it. If I just buy one more thing, it'll solve the problem. Absolutely. Okay. I'm not delusional. Listen, I'm telling y'all from experience. I'm a fellow ADHDer. Okay. I love gadgets. I used to call myself Inspector Gadget. I love it. Like, I love a home goods. That's why I don't go on home goods, because somebody gonna have to drag me out. Because I'm gonna play myself like that. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna want to come out with something. I love a good gadget, especially a kitchen gadget. Okay. So guys, I want you guys to ask yourself, like, to start thinking about, what are my spending triggers? What emotions are driving my purchases? What times of the day I'm most likely to spend? The whole point of today is for you to have more self-awareness, to be very mindful, very unfuckwitable. Okay. If you're not mindful, sales are going to be fucking with you. Okay. TikTok shop is going to be fucking with you. Okay. People pissing you off is going to be fucking with you. Okay. You need to be mindful. You need to be aware of what's happening. You can't stop yourself if you don't know what's happening. Ask yourself, what situations test your control? That damn TikTok shop. I'm telling you, it's Satan. It's Satan. I can't tell you how fast I get out of, like, as soon as I start like scrolling and I start hitting the live, because they know what they're doing. You're looking at regular lives, right? And you like regular people, great conversation, and you get into like a TikTok shop live, right? And they hit you with like 10 of those back to back. And you're like, ain't no way that the next 10 people were all just selling stuff. Like, I know there's some there's some of these. Like, TikTok not showing enough people this, right? But they showing you about 100 buy some things lives, right? But they're not showing you the lives you really need. So I be like, I come out real quick because I'm not in denial. I'm self-aware. I'm gonna want to put it in the cart. Okay. I'm gonna want to put it in the cart. So I put a boundary on myself immediately. X. So I want you to know what situations test your self-control. This was a perfect example, actually. TikTok shop lives will test my self-control. Home goods will test my self-control. The home good, you know how Walmart has two sections, like two doors. You can go in the food grocery side or the home good side. I don't go in the home good side. You know why? Because it's going to test my self-control, and I don't need that. Why? It's like if I'm an alcoholic and I'm gonna go to a bar. Why am I gonna make it hard for myself? You know what I mean? Well, I'm gonna make things harder than it has to be. It's already gonna be hard. There's no reason for me to escalate things. Some of us are going out of our way to make things harder on ourselves when we know better. Like, you know who you are. Stop playing with yourself. Stop playing with your bank account. Stop playing with your goals. All right. Do y'all have any questions for me? Are y'all going to be able to do this homework? Are you going to be able to do this homework? If you guys have been doing the activity so far and you have a money date is a great opportunity for you to look at. You say yes. All right. You got a money date is a good way for you to be able to look at your spending plan and see how close you are to aligning your spending with your value. So like up until now, you've probably been spending and not even really looking at the previous bank statements. Like you look at your balance, but you don't really look at every transaction that hit. Like you look at your transaction maybe to see if the dollar amount was right that day, but you're not looking at it to understand what type of purchases you're making. Everybody say yes, yes, yes. Right? Okay. And I know that because whenever I sit down and do budgets with clients, one of the areas they're most surprised about is how much they spend on food. Like it's one thing, like initially they give me a guess on how much they're spending per week on grocery shopping or eating out. But then when they're assigned the task of pulling their bank statements and adding it up, they're mortified. That real number is like, whew, right? We ain't looking. It ain't by accident. We don't really want that negativity. You like, I don't even need to see what I did last week. Like, I don't even want to know the damage I did over the weekend. You ever had that? Like, you get paid on a Friday and like you almost don't even want to know what you did over the weekend. You like, I went to Black Friday set like, oh, Black Friday is a perfect example of that. Like, you don't even want to know how much you spent on Christmas. Most people don't know how much they spent on Christmas because they don't want to know. Like, they don't really want to go back and add them all up and see. I said I was only going to spend $200 on the kids, and I don't spend $1,000 per child. They don't want to know that number because then they have to deal with it. Out of sight, out of mind, right? They like ignorance is bliss. I want to not know. Lie to me, okay? He said that's my issue too. Yes, I know. Uh-oh. I don't know why this thing does that. It wants me to do this thing to pretend that I'm a real person. Okay, sorry y'all. TikTok wanted me to make sure I'm a real person. And while I'm doing it, let me plug up my phone before. Sharon, you said 5. How do you spend extra money this time of the year? You wouldn't spend and not be behind on bills. Oh, I love this question. So I got a question on the Facebook Live from Billy. How do you spend the extra money this time of year you normally wouldn't spend and not be behind on bills? So I get the question is asking like, you have a spike in spending this time of the year and you got to spend it for whatever reason, right? Christmas gifts or just higher utility bills because you're hosting guests or whatever, right? But you still got to spend your regular bills. And this is a very common problem. I talk about it when I talk about the 5 financial frustrations. These are called pop-up expenses that we struggle to plan with. The number one problem I see with people's budgets, I look at budgets every single day, is people do not know what their real life costs. Okay? They don't know what their real life costs. I love that question, Billy. They know how much their bills are, but that's different than their real life. So when they do a budget, they go income minus expenses, minus maybe gas and groceries, and then maybe something left over, right? And that's their budget. That's what they expect their life to look like. But our real life doesn't look like that. Our real life every month looks different, right? In the summertime, if you got young kids, you got back to school. You got summer camp. Then August, you got back to school shopping. In Virginia, you got property tax in June and December. Then you got Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Valentine's Day, somebody's birthday, somebody getting married, baby shower, car repairs, oil changes, right? Every month, we have some random expense that's popping up, right? And what we don't know how to do is track how much that costs on an annual basis. So to answer your question, Billy, the way I teach my clients to budget is to budget annually. which means that you need to start learning how much your real life costs all year, not just every month. So inside of my budgeting workbook, there is a page in here. Oh, right here, the pop-up planner. And what this allows you to do is to write down. We don't really think about our plans as far as like cost. Like we know, like I just went to Jersey in a couple of weeks ago. I'm originally from Jersey, for those of y'all on TikTok who don't know me. I'm in Virginia Beach now, but I'm from Jersey, and I went home, and I usually go home once a year. So since I go home once a year, I know roughly how much the tolls are going there, coming back. I know how many miles it is. I know what the gas is going to be. I know that I'm going to have to hit my 5 favorite food spots. It's not negotiable. As soon as I get to New Jersey, I'm getting pizza. Okay. As a Jersey girl, you know. Okay. If you're from Jersey or New York, you understand. Like, I'm getting pizza. It's not negotiable. I need to plan for that. Okay. It's happening. Okay. There's a couple other food spots I got to go to when I'm in Jersey. And so I know that when I'm thinking about the cost of my year, when I'm thinking about my travel, I'm budgeting for the drive. I'm budgeting for the gas. I'm budgeting for an activity. I'm budgeting for the tolls. That is an area I need to plan for annually. But what else do I? How often do I travel other places? Do I go on a big vacation once a year, right? For holidays, how many people do I typically buy for? Am I buying just for my nieces and nephews and my kids? Am I just buying for my kids? Do I pay for my parents? Do I participate in holiday potlucks, secret Santas, right? And how much do I normally spend? Or how much do I want to be spending? Most of the time, we're just spending with no real intention. But if I say I'm not going to spend more than $25, $50 a person, I need to know what that total number is. Now, some of y'all will plan for Christmas, right? Y'all open these Christmas club accounts, right? And you're feeling like, all right, I got a Christmas club account. I'm doing good. And it's a start. But is that the only holiday you shop, you buy gifts for? Probably not. You buy birthdays, right? Yeah, anniversaries. And if you buy for these holidays, then you need to budget for them. So you need to think of how many people in my life do I buy for their birthday? It may not be everybody, right? And how much do I typically spend? And then what you're going to do is you're going to figure out your annual total for gift giving, your annual total for travel, your annual total for car maintenance, your annual total for home maintenance. We have all these little random expenses that we forget about, and we need to figure out how much do we spend per year, because it's not happening every month. It might happen a couple times a month, right? How much do I spend a year on maintenance on my car? How much are my oil changes, my tire rotations? I got to get some windshield wipers like once a year. Yeah, like how much do all those things cost, right? Once you know that number, now you have an amount you can save. So answer Billy's question. The way you plan for that is you treat your random annual expenses like a bill that just hasn't come yet. So when you're paying your bills, right, you got your income, and were y'all here yesterday when I talked about your money date and what you should be doing, your non-negotiables, right? Right? Your non-negotiable, your peace of mind fund, which if you know me, you know the first peace of mind that I think that you guys should be working for is your month ahead fund. You said, yes, you were here yesterday. Good. New grandbaby and her sister just started. Oh, I love the kids. Okay, grandbaby's gonna run your pockets, Billy. So I told you the first thing that you need to be making sure you're moving money to that's non-negotiable is your peace of mind fund. Okay, I don't care if it's just $5. You need to be putting money in that account. Why? Because it creates a cushion in your bills. If you're paycheck to paycheck, meaning when you get paid, most of your paycheck goes to paying bills and you don't really have anything left over, then you need to build cushion in your bill pay account. That should be the first thing you're saving towards. And so cushion should be a month of your fixed expenses. So rent, cable, all those fixed expenses a month ahead. Now, a month ahead might feel like a really big goal. So I challenged y'all yesterday to set a peace of mind number, a starter goal. It could be $100. You could be like, I'd be satisfied if I at least have $100 left over after bills come, because then if something happens, I'm not completely derailed. I'm not going to accidentally have my account overdrawn. So yesterday, your assignment was to choose your peace of mind number, to open up a dedicated account for that, and to make your first deposit at $5. That's what I asked y'all to do yesterday. Who did their homework? Who gonna do it now? Okay, now, because I'm still in Billy's question, so I want to make sure I'm giving y'all a complete answer. I told y'all, even though this is the 12 days of financial self-care, for these 12 days, y'all can ask me what y'all want to ask me. So you get to ask me your financial questions and I'm gonna answer them. So, so yesterday I told you guys the first thing that's the non-negotiable for your money date is transferring money to your peace of mind fund. The second thing is moving your money into your bill pay account. So bills, that's non-negotiable. You got to pay those. So you got to move whatever fixed amount is for your fixed bills. The third thing is moving money into your pop-up expense account. That's this area that Billy's talking about right now. Okay. Pop-up savings. I'm gonna go a little further on this one, but for right now, that's the third one, that non-negotiable. And then the fourth one is you're moving money into your multiply, right? This is your wealth building. This is where you're saving to invest, not saving to save, saving to invest. Okay. Here we're saving to invest. Because you're not going to build wealth saving. Saving is addition, investing is multiplication. Who would rather add or multiply? What you rather do? Add or multiply? I don't know about you, but I want to multiply exponentially, ideally. Okay. So Billy, the pop-up savings, which was the third thing that's a non-negotiable. My clients, I have you guys separate those for visibility. Multiply, baby. That's what I'm talking about. I know y'all smart. I told you I coach the gifted Black women with ADHD. We smart. We know. We just need a little bit of encouragement, some support, some accountability. It ain't an intelligence thing, right? Being bad with money isn't about intelligence, right? Right? It's emotions that we might need to work on, right? And some tools, right? The tools that work for you. That's why I said self-awareness is key. So what I have my clients do, I'm trying to find this page in the budgeting workbook, is I have my clients organize their bank accounts, their pop-up expenses, where they have accounts for different types of expenses. So rather than just have one bucket where all your money is there for all the random things, I think when you have all your money bucketed like that, it makes it hard for you to understand what it's for. And it's easy and tempting for you to spend it when you don't mean to spend it, because you don't know what it's for, like you forget. So for example, my clients have accounts and they'll have, so let's say, and we'll maybe do another live where we'll talk more about pop-up spending I'm going to do the 5 frustration series with y'all, but they may have an account that says like home maintenance, car maintenance, let's say kids, pets, giving, travel, legal, tax, right? You thinking like they got an account for all of this? Hold on, let me see. Is this in shot? Can y'all see this? Okay. I feel like the TikTokers, y'all can see it now, right? Oh, I might need to let me mirror this so that you can see this, because I think y'all see in my board in reverse. Can y'all see that right now on TikTok? Okay, so they'll have an account that says this. They might have one that says, matter of fact, let me just open up to that page so I can give you guys some real examples. And for y'all who are curious about my budgeting workbooks, normally I have 4 different workbooks. This is the Big Bad Wolf right here. You see how thick this thing is? It's over 200 some odd pages, like 5 workbooks in one. The Financially Unfuckwitable Budgeting Workbook. That one, I have the Money Challenge workbooks. This is not going to be a boring money challenge book where all you have is just like shapes and numbers in there. Like, I'm challenging you to do more than just save. I'm challenging you to do some very specific things. Like my bingo boards, they're having you do specific things in regards to like organizing your accounts and things like that, so that you have systems in place to support you. The month ahead fund challenge is in here with the savings chart, the activities on how you set it up. Like, yeah. So I have the money challenge workbook, and then I have the financial self-care coloring book. We already talked about mindfulness, being able to calm your nervous system so you can make good decisions. And then I have the journal, which we talked about, the checking in with yourself, the mindfulness. All four of those together are normally $140. Right now, they're on sale. If you get the bundle for $99 on my website. So just a shameless plug. If you want to use the tool, I personally like to write, and that's why I create physical tools. And if you know that you're more of a like, I'm a write it down person and keep up with the app, then you may like my tools. But anyway, the categories of spending. Oh, here we go. All right, so you might have self-care. Let me put another one on here. So people who are like, I don't get my hair done every other week or, every month. Like for me, I got locks, right? So maybe I'm getting retwist every few months, or if you got braids, you get your hair braided every few months. So it's not very frequently, but it is an expense when it pops up for you, right? So you got self-care or nails or whatever, or massages every once in a blue moon. You may need a pop-up expense bucket for that. You might have irregular, this is going to be a weird bucket, irregular fixed bills. Those are things that are like, they're bills that are predictable, but they don't happen every month. So I told you in Virginia, we have property tax. They're due twice a year. They're due in June and in December. So it's not something that would go in my monthly budget, but it is in my annual budget. Okay. It's in my annual budget. So I know that I have these unusual bills. For those of you guys who get paid like water every other month instead of every month, that might be one. Give me another example of a fixed bill. Like it's a bill that for those of y'all who pay your car insurance every 6 months instead of monthly. So like if you pay your insurance on a biannual basis instead of monthly basis, that might go there. So you want to know like, what's the annual total for these fixed bills? How much does my car property tax, my car registration, because that's due once a year, that's a fixed bill, right? I know I got to pay it every year. It's not a surprise, right? How much do I spend per year on self-care? And if you can't figure it out annually, if you say like, I don't know what's annually, but I know like I get my hair done every 3 months and I typically spend $200, right? So if you're getting your hair done every 3 months and you're spending $200 every time you go, then you're spending $800 a year, because you do it 4 times a year, right? So I know that number is 800, right? Home maintenance, right? If you rent, you may not have home maintenance costs because your landlord is. If you're a homeowner like me, then I might be thinking about seasonal yard work, right? Wintertime, I might not have as much yard work because it's snow on the ground, right? Especially if I was still living in New Jersey. Virginia, we may or may not get snow at all. I may be thinking about, I have a home warranty, and so I may not be putting the big bill on an appliance breaking, but I still have to pay that, what do you call it, a deductible or deposit whenever somebody comes out, right? And I'm thinking, how frequently or how likely is that to happen? How much money would make me feel safe, right? So I might say, maybe $1,000 would make me feel good. I can't see something coming up that's going to be more than that in a year. But if you have an older home, you might be thinking, I need that number to be bigger. For your car, well, that depends on what kind of car you have and how old it is. If it's brand new and you probably don't have a whole lot going on, you're like, I just got to pay for oil changes, and I don't really expect anything major because it's brand new and I have a warranty, right? My oil changes are covered. Pop-up alternator, 450. Yeesh. Yeah, okay. So most people will say $500 will make them feel a year. They probably spending maybe a year. They feel like that number would be a good starter number for them, right? Annually, but we don't know. So at this stage in the game, if you don't know what your annual costs are, this is the year that you're going to start tracking them. So you're going to be feeling the pain of not getting it right. Like now you're going to be going through life and you're going to see expense pop up and you're going to be like, this is what she's talking about. It's going to hurt to feel it, but now you're going to know, let me track this because I want to figure out how much I spent on car stuff all year. I never really added up as a line item, just car maintenance for the whole year. I never really added up as a line item how much random shit, my kids, field trips, back to school, like how much that is, right? Pets, right? You got pets. We're not talking about food, because food, I would say for pets is more like your grocery bill. But like if you have a vet bill, how frequently you go, how much is the medication when that happens? Giving, how often are people asking you for money and you giving it to them? HOA fees, that's a great one. That would be home maintenance, right? HOA fee. Or actually, I would put home HOA fees in a regular fixed bills, because that's a bill that's coming and it's going to happen usually in December. Your HOA fees. Travel. How often are you traveling? How much are you spending? And I'm not talking about like vacation. I'm talking about like, you should have that too, but I would treat vacation as like a short-term goal. But when I go to New Jersey, it's not like it's vacation kind of, but it's kind of like, especially when my parents lived there, like I gotta go to New Jersey. It's not like that was kind of like negotiable. I'm going to see my mom. So I need to plan for it like it's going to happen. Sorry, y'all. I don't want my iPad to die on y'all. And it's definitely threatening to die. Oh, what did I do with my dry erase marker? Okay, got it. Legal tax. If you typically owe on your taxes, well, first of all, if you typically owe on your taxes, there's some work you need to be talking to your accountant about. But if you're thinking about like tax preparation fees or accounting fees or legal fees or whatever, there's an area for that. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to be doing to plan for this better, Billy, is you need to figure out what are your unusual, your random expenses. We know your fixed expenses. You know those: rent, electricity, cable, subscriptions, Netflix, all that stuff that's predictable. You know that. This is the stuff y'all not budgeting for. This is the stuff y'all not planning for. And because you don't know these numbers, you don't know how much to put aside every month. Once you know the annual total of this, divided by 12. That's the number that you should be putting in your pop-up savings account. Now, I can tell you from experience, the number divided by 12 is probably going to be too big for you. Meaning, however much it is per month is probably more than you have disposable income at this stage. So, and that's okay. I'm telling you, I see budgets every day. I see six-figure incomes, and that number is not something that they can put away every month. But you need to know what the number is, because then the very next thing you're going to do is you're going to prioritize and say, okay, how much do I have available in disposable income? Yesterday, when we talked about money dates, I talked about you figuring out what's left over, because that's the amount that you have available that can use to start filling up these buckets. Imagine this was, well, I shouldn't erase this. Imagine this was like what we call an emergency savings. I told y'all why I don't like that term, emergency savings, but imagine this was an emergency savings account, right? And you had $2,000 in this account. Most of the time, what happens is when we have a large chunk of money in an account, we look at it and we go, okay, I got this money in here. Alexa, can you be quiet? You distracted me. Sorry. Is it just me, or does Alexa start getting louder and louder? Like it don't be like the volume just keep going up. I'll be feeling like she rude. But anyway, most of the time we have this money in this account and we're looking at the money in the account and we know it's for something, but we don't really know what it's for. So when something happens, like a car repair, to give Billy's example of an alternator pops up and we're like, dang. What we feel initially when we got to go in that $3,000 bag that we've saved up, or $2,000 savings bucket, we go, dang, every time I make progress, move this over a little bit more because I feel like every time I make progress, I'm back down again. And it feels like you take one step forward and two steps backwards. The reason why you feel like that is because you didn't tell it what it was for. You didn't know what this money was for. So when you take money from it, it doesn't feel good. It's just some random, and it just feels like, oh, I can never save money. That's what happens. But when you take that same $2,000, instead of just having one big account, and you break it into these micro accounts. So let's do it like this so that it's more accurate. Let's say we did let's say 300, just to make it all add up. So let's say we put it in these accounts right here. It's the same $2,000, but we've decided in advance what that money is for. What happens is when a car repair happens, you don't go, dang, I can never save. You look at your account and you see, look at me, I'm so proud of myself. I actually have money for that thing. It's different because mentally you've already spent it. You already decided what it was for. So you don't have this feeling of failure when you have to use that money because that's what it was for. You actually feel pride that you actually have the money for the car repair because you decided that that's what that 500 was for. You don't feel like I can never save. You feel like I can save. Look, it's working for me. Even if you only had $200 when that car repair happened, you know, like I only need $300 to make the difference. And now I can look at these accounts and figure out if I have to rob Peter to pay Paul, who should I be robbing? I shouldn't be robbing a fixed expense because that's mandatory. But self-care, that's negotiable. That's not necessary. If I need to do this, I'm a pull from here. So now I know I have $200 that I can move. So I need to make maybe another, in his case, another $50. Now I know I only need to do like 2 hours of overtime to make up the money I need to pay this. You see how this works? It creates so much more clarity on what the money is for. So to answer your question, Billy, if it was the holidays, ideally you got to December and you've had money in your pop-up fund for giving. So when you get to the holidays, it shouldn't be changing your budget because your budget shouldn't change. The way your budget should look is your income. So let me give a number. So let's say you make $4,000 a month, and then you got expenses. And when I say expenses, I mean like your fixed bill. Matter of fact, let me just do it that way. So we say your fixed bills. And let's say that's $2,500 a month. I don't know where y'all live, if that's realistic or not. Right? And then we're going to say your peace of mind fund, or what I like to say your month ahead fund is where I'm going to start. Your month ahead fund gives me peace of mind. So if you don't already have that, it's the month ahead fund is a type of peace of mind fund, right? And however much you put in that. So let's say you put in $100 a pay period or a month into there until you fill it up. And then you've transferred money to multiply because you decided that that's non-negotiable. And you're like, I'm putting $100 a month in my multiply. I don't know what I'm invested in yet, but I know I'm going to invest in something, right? And then my pop-ups. I'm transferring money to pop-ups. Oh, wait. Hold on. We missing an area. Well, no. We're going to do this. Pop-ups. And we decided, even though we know that what we needed was like, let's say we know we needed to put $500 a month into your pop-up fund, but you don't really have that at this stage in your budget. You don't have that much disposable income. You're like, but I'm going to put $200 a month in my pop-up expenses. Now, which account I'm funding first, that would depend on your priorities. That would depend on what's coming soon. But I know I'm putting $200 a month into my pop-ups, right? At this point, I've left myself with, I would have spent $2,900. So I have $1,100 left over for my day-to-day spending. And I'm going to make this a little bit easier for myself. And I'm going to just say, I'm going to give myself $300 for pop-up expenses. And that way I'm at an even five. And then I can say I have $1,500 for my, I'm sorry, I got $2,000 for my day-to-day spending. So $2,000 for my day-to-day spending. I'm going to take that and then divide that by 4 because it's 4 weeks in a month. That's how much I'm giving myself. That's how much I would be giving myself for times 4. That's how much I'd be giving myself for day-to-day spending. So that's gas, groceries, all the stuff you typically swipe for. Now, to me, $500 for my family of 2, that's high. I'm not giving myself $500 a month. I don't need that much money for day-to-day. But do you understand the point I'm making? Is, Billy, if you were putting every month, if your budget looked like I'm paying my bills, I'm paying money into my month ahead fund until I hit that number. Once I've hit that peace of mind number, that money can now roll over into one of these other areas. But for now, I'm funding my month ahead fund. I'm funding my future, my multiply. I'm putting money away towards pop-ups, and I have money left over for my day-to-day spending. When you have Christmas come, it shouldn't look any different because you should have a savings account that's dedicated for this. When Christmas comes, you're not taking it out of this $4,000 paycheck that you got in December, because every month you've been putting out of this $300, $25 or $50 or whatever it is towards giving. so that when December comes, it's coming out of the savings account. It's not coming out of your bill money. It's not coming out of this paycheck. Does that make sense? All right. Well, I definitely, I went into a lot more than I planned to go into, because this is not about mindfulness, but Billy asked a question. I told y'all, if y'all ask me the question, I'm going to answer it this week. So there you go. Did that answer your question, Billy? Did that answer y'all questions? Do y'all have any questions over here on TikTok? That was a question I got over on Facebook. Does anybody else have any questions for me? How many of y'all are going to pause? Y'all are going to pause. I want you guys to do your homework. I want you guys to look inside of your cart. Ask yourself why 3 times. Why is this in this cart? When you get down to the bottom of the core of what it is that you wanted and why you wanted it, I want you to ask yourself, does this item actually solve that problem? Does it actually fulfill that need? Or is there some other way I could resolve this problem? And that will either help you make the right purchase. So maybe you still need to make a purchase, but it's a purchase that actually makes sense, or not make the purchase at all because you realize the issue isn't another gadget, isn't another course, isn't another book, isn't another whatever, right? You buying t-shirts when what you really probably need to purchase is therapy, right? Like if the issue is I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling grief, right? Maybe I need to take a yoga class. I need to go work out to be able to get my dopamine levels up and help resolve some of the emotional issues. I need to talk to my therapist or, talk to my support system so I can get some of these emotions out, because all buying things are going to do is make me feel sadder. All they're going to do is make me feel frustrated with myself that I've made a bad situation worse. All right. Do y'all have any other questions? That was a great question. Thank you so much for taking time to ask that question. Hey, BR. How you doing? Thank you for the gifts. I appreciate it. I hope this has been helpful for you. Tomorrow is day 5 of the 12 days of self-care. And you will find out what that topic is if you show up tomorrow. I used to feel bad about not remembering what it is because I have it written down, but it's over there and I can't remember. I got 12 things that I want to cover over the next 12 days. But now I don't feel too bad because you're going to find out you're either going to be here or you're not. I hate for you to miss it. So mark your calendars if you're not already, if you subscribe, if you've been enjoying this and you're like, I want to make sure that I continue to get this information. Go ahead and hit the notification bell. If you're not following me already, hit the follow button. If you're like, I really feel like your tools will help me, I want to be able to write them down. I want you to ask yourself why. I'm not exempt from this. If you're thinking about buying one of my budgeting workbooks, one of my planners, one of my journals, hiring me as a coach, I still want you to go through that same process when you're thinking about investing in anything that I've created. I'm not exempt for that. I want you to understand why you're doing it, because when you understand why, you'll actually use it. Otherwise, it's just going to sit with the rest of the stuff that you bought and never used. But I at least want you to have awareness of what it is that you're feeling, to know what it is that you're trying to resolve, so that when you get that tool, the purpose of this is, I want to feel whatever. I want to get back whatever. I want to stop paying for whatever. And when I say paying for, I don't necessarily mean with your money, with your energy, with your time, with your frustrations, with your quality time with your kids. Like, what is it that you're trying to resolve? How are you using money to solve your problems? Okay. That's it for tonight. I'm gonna let y'all go because it is almost 10 o'clock. And I gotta be back here tomorrow. And I know y'all want to go to bed. So thank y'all for joining. For those of you guys who don't know me, I'm gonna reset the room one last time so you know who I am. I am ADHD Money Coach B. I talk about mental health as it relates to your money. I help the 4 times exceptional gifted Black woman with ADHD shift from feeling financially frustrated to feeling financially unfuckwittable. If that is how you want to feel, I encourage you to follow me. I encourage you to share my posts. I encourage you to engage with my posts. I encourage you to do the activities and homework I gave you, and I encourage you to come back tomorrow. We should be back here tomorrow around 6 o'clock, somewhere between 6 and 8 o'clock. depending on how my daughter's day goes. Somewhere between 6 and 8 o'clock is when I will be back here tomorrow. But if you hit the notification bell, you don't have to worry about missing me. I will see y'all tomorrow. If y'all have questions that you didn't want to ask in the comments because you're shy or for whatever reason, feel free to send them to me as a DM. Feel free to comment on any of my posts and I'll reply with the video for you as well. And that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, guys.